Hello guys, this is Chris Martinez. I know what you're thinking. What's this? Well, this is a face mask slash scarf, considering it's covering my neck, of the famous DC villain, Joker. Something that my sister-in-law's father gave me. And, I thought this might be a good day to do a video. And today's video I'm going to be doing out of cover, but today I'm going to be reading something that I was going to read in April, but I decided to do it this month before the month is over. So why not? So today I'm going to be reading the story that I mentioned before, the story that I promised. That's written by Benamelon. Go to our Facebook, go to our YouTube. Subscribe to her, show her lots of love and support. And today I'm gonna read My Little Pony, Friendship is Tragic. So, and be warned, this story is very long. So if you don't want to read the story, and you could go, if you don't want to listen to me read the story, you could go to the link that, no. You could go to the link, search it up on Google, go to the link, and read it yourself. And be warned about the link that I put below about it being very long. And it's also very sad. So men, prepare your sleeves, women, get out your tissues, and prepare to have a lot of tears. This is My Little Pony. Friendship is Tragic. Equestria. To those who have never traveled here before, its stories would have captivated you, from the eerie darkness of every forest to the sprawling and winding paths in the mountains. Many a tale have been spun these lands, but none more so than daring and courageous than six friends who had never seen each other before that fateful day, who by working together overcame the once mythical nightmare moon and saved the land from eternal nights. These six have many adventures together in time after, and learned so much about themselves and their friends, and the bond that formed between them had become indestructible. This you already know. However, a few years after the event nightmare moon came, it came for those six of those friends to think about their future and to choose their path in the world. In this world, none more than twilight sparkle. A dark forest was bearing on the edge of Equestria, and Princess Celestia wished Twilight to accompany her to help them stem the danger. Twilight, although reluctant to leave her friends behind, felt that it was her duty, and so agreed to accompany the princess. Despite being given a choice before Twilight left with Princess Celestia, the six friends met at the library for a tearful goodbye. Now be warned, I'm going to do some voice acting for this story. It's going to sound cringy, I know. Here we go. Twilight! Wah! Pinkie Pie hugged her hose around Twilight, squeezing them so hard that she could barely breathe. The others stood around her, equally as sad. Twilight gave a light smile. It sounds like I'm going away forever, every pony. The princess said it would only be gone for a month or two. You really are overreacting, she said, trying to remain as straight faced as possible, not to worry them. Although she was fully no pony. Oh, but darling, it all sounds positively dangerous. I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to you. Rarity wept all the while, trying to remain ladylike. I have to admit, Sugar Cube, Rarity's right. It's something were to happen to you, I think I think Applejack began to say, but was cut off by Rainbow Dash. Ha! Oh, come on, you girls. This is Twilight you're talking about. You know, the Twilight? You think you think some stupid disaster is gonna beat our girl after all she's been through? Rainbow sounded convincing, but even nervous for her. Of course she'd be back a lot faster if they let me come along, but whatever. Rainbow Dash turned around, her arms folded in a sulk, and the others looking at her. She slowly began to turn her head, her lips quivering, and tears began to well in her eyes. You better come back safely, she said softly. All the others smiled with her, and there were tears in their eyes. All except Pinkie, who was still hugging. Twilight flooding the room with her own... Wait. All except Pinkie, who was still hugging Twilight and flooding the room with her own tears. Fluttershy, oddly the most composed, daring, gathering approached Twilight and nuzzled her gently. I have faith in you. Please be safe, Twilight, she whimpered softly. They all looked at each other and then back at Twilight before breaking down and embracing each other in a big group hug. Eventually, Twilight managed to escape from Pinkie's hug and compose herself. I love you all. Remember that, and when I get back, we'll meet up here again and have a huge party to celebrate. And that's a promise, okay, Pinkie? Pinkie sniffled. Okie dokie okie. And managed to crack a smile. Outside, the sound of the royal horn could be heard, and heavy hooves of the royal guards pulling up. Well, I guess my ride is here. Twilight looked up to the friends one by one, and all nodded back. Twilight gulped down and opened the door, taking a moment to get one last look back. Her good friends waving goodbye to her. Twilight nodded back. I'll be back before you know it, and she jumped onto the carriage. What followed that sad day was something no pony could have predicted. The mission was undertaken by Twilight, and the princess had taken a bad turn for worse. And far from the months that were predicted, it dragged more than just a few, and then years passed, and then 2 years. During this time, a great deal had happened, including the tragic demise of Princess Celestia, who sacrificed herself to save Equestria. Twilight was eventually able to stop disaster through her own genius tactics. However, it was too late. As the events had sorely taken their toll on her, she had fallen into a coma, only to wake many years later, nursed slowly back to health by Zecora. However, her body may have recovered. Twilight would learn that her magic, just like Princess Celestia, was lost to her forever, and it would be many months in the bedridden depression before she would come to bear with these painful truths. Princess Luna, who had taken her running Equestria in her sister's place, and invited Twilight back to Canterlot to live. Twilight agreed and then moved back and was living in the tower she previously used before. A short while after her return, she asked to be taken to Ponyville to find her friends, but none of them were to be found. It had been 6 years, and Ponyville had changed a fair amount. It was recognizable, but the town looked in complete disarray. Meanwhile, Luna tried her best to keep Equestria in order, but the lack of her leadership skills were noticeable. Twilight commissioned the royal scribes to trace her friends, if she could explain to them. And so the true story begins. Chapter 1. All is well that ends well. Twilight awoke from yet another nightmare in a sweat of her dreams. And Celestia had been getting worse recently. A single tear fell from her eye. Oh, Princess Celestia, why couldn't I have given my life instead of you? She held back some tears and shook her head. No, she won't want you to feel like this. Twilight, remember what she said. Stay strong for her. Stay strong. Twilight composed herself. She had tried so hard, so very hard, to be strong in the face of it all. Some days were better than others, and the others were just. And today was one of them. Twilight mostly helping Princess Luna with her duties since her return. While she did her duties, she felt uneasy during this time. Twilight and Luna were not close, and although Twilight was respected and liked in the castle, she had no one there she truly knew. Even Spike, her normal assistant, was no longer with her, as he perished alongside with Celestia. Twilight got out of bed and walked up to the mirror. She looked back at herself. She looked at herself. She was bigger than she used to be. Her hair was longer. You could see small wrinkles forming from all the stress had gone through. I look a mess. I wonder what Brady would look at this. He tried at first to smile, but soon faded. I miss them all so much. I hope that my request works. So I closed her eyes and passed the visions of her close friends that their misadventures gives her as her mind. She flopped back on her head. Ray's probably top designer now. Her old-fashioned lines and chain shafts. Twilight smiled. If Fluttershy probably runs a clinic or shelter, or the animals, she smiled again. Our trick was to expand her family farm to be bigger, and keeping Crusher fed. She grinned. The world was suspended, but I bet it will put past Rainbow Dash to have formed her own numerous particular group. She rolled her eyes and smiled again. And Pinky, well, she's probably being Pinky. She giggled. The clock chimed outside. Twilight got up again. It was time to get her duties for today. She slowly opened the door, only to make her way to see Luna. They didn't consider usual meetings and greetings, and there were a lot of documents to sign. Nothing special. Twilight cleared her head and set the time to the task, and days were done. It was time to sleep again. She entered her room and gave a sigh and crawled into bed. Next day, Twilight woke to let out a scream. This time, it wasn't a nightmare. She was shocked to see a black-robed pony at the hoof of her bed. She quickly glanced around and noticed this pony was the only one. Twilight rubbed her eyes at the pony and finally realized who it was. It was one of the Royal Scouts. Her mouth was a letter. Do you not knock before entering a filly's room? She angrily snapped. The figure stood there. Well, I guess we'll lock the door in the future. Anyway, to what do I owe this visit? She asked. The figure slowly made her way to the side of the bed, opened its mouth, and popping the lighter from the Twilight. Twilight looked down at the envelope. I see. Her voice fading recognized the seal of the Royal Scribe imprinted on the parchment. Twilight's eyes lit up and immediately tore and began reading the contents. Actually, gotta take this off. I'm gonna admit it's hard to speak with that odd. It's not that I can't breathe, I can, but here's maybe you heard the rest of the story without that little then you could easily hear what I'm saying. But I'm taking that off because Jesus. Anyways, dear Miss Twilight Sparkle, I have reported that there are that after an extensive search of the web of the ponies you listed, I discovered all but one. As requested, we have delivered to each other a following an invitation to meet with you. However, it must be known that each have reservations to traveling to Canterlot. It was suggested by one, Applejack, that had a neutral meeting at a place that would be so beneficial for all personal reasons. This information was passed along to all your friends, all of the four friends. Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash agreed to meet with you, and the pony known as Fluttershy was unable to confirm. We regret to inform you, and yet Pink and Minnie Diane Pie's whereabouts are unknown. We hope the information provided is sufficient. Yours sincerely, Scribe Roseluck. Roseluck. Anyways, Twilight looked up dumbfounded for a moment. They found them? I don't believe it. No, Pinkie, but my friends. Twilight began crying tears of happiness. She turned to the scout and smiled. Will you keep looking for Pinkie? You'll keep looking for Pinkie, right? Please tell me you will. The scout nodded. Twilight hugged her. Sorry for shouting at you, she said. The scout smiled and began to leave the room. Oh, wait. Thank you so much for delivering this to me. But I didn't catch your name, though. Twilight paused, awaiting a reply. The scout bumped into the door frame before walking out. Derpy, was all the scout said. It was unusual, in an unusual but cheery voice. Thank you, Derpy. You made my morning so bright. Twilight squeaked and gave a big smile. She composed herself again, looking down at the letter attached a tavern. The Fabulous Serpent. I wonder why they couldn't come to Canterlot. Oh well, I guess they have their reasons. Twilight left out of bed and immediately began to make arrangements. Chapter 2. Sour Apples. Twilight stood outside a ramshackle building that was a few miles ahead of Ponyville. This was the location of the map but Twilight was a bit hesitant. She looked up at the swinging sign. A purple sea serpent with half a mustache was poorly painted on it, while a foul smell was coming from inside the building, and a lot of noise. Twilight looked at the map again. Why would they choose a place like this? But it is where they agreed to meet. Twilight nervously opened the door and was greeted by a sight she had never seen. Ponies were drinking, singing on the tables, and talking, but not in the way Twilight was used to. The singing wasn't cheerful, like Pinkie Pie's song, and they were horribly out of tune. The drinks were foul-smelling and dark brown, and the conversations were turning air blue. Words Twilight had never heard before were being slung around if she was sure she never wanted to hear them again. Which means cursing. She stood for a few moments before slowly turning back to the door to escape, but a few more ponies bundled in behind her, knocking her further aside. Hello? Excuse me? I wonder if... Could anyone... Twilight was cut off as she tried to attract the attention of any pony, but found that she was easily ignored. She noticed a colt behind the bar, and although his outfit was odd, she could tell his job. She walked up to the bartender, and after several failed attempts, finally got his attention. She could hardly hear herself over the horrible singing and loud mouthing. Excuse me, sir. I was told to meet my friends here. I was wondering if a reservation was made under the name Applejack, she half shouted. The barkeep looked at her for a few seconds, then moved his face next to hers. Are you pulling my mane? She snarled. He snarled. Charlie was shocked. I'm not quite sure what you... Buy a drink or get out. Reservations? Does this look like a restaurant to you? If you're here to ask dumb questions, I should just... I... If you're here to ask dumb questions of drinking, I was thrown out your flank. You got that? He snarled again, getting more annoyed than easily passed. Charlie began to shake in fear. The barkeep eyeball and Charlie began to shake in fear as the barkeep's eyeballs rolled. That right. That's it, you. A hoof slammed down in the room, cutting him off. I reckon you should learn to improve your customer service if you want to keep this here fabulous serpent afloat. Or do I need to have another private discussion with you again, Marco? A figure next to Twilight barked in a gritty voice. The barkeep backed away. No, that's quite alright, Angry Jack. Here, let me grab you a drink on the house. And one for you too, ma'am. He prepared the drinks as Twilight turned the figure next to her, but could not believe her eyes. She tried to speak, but nothing came. The familiar figure turned to her and smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. Well, I guess you got the message, Twilight. Twilight stuttered. Applejack? Is it really you? It looked like Applejack, sounded like her, but this Applejack was huge. Her legs were pure muscle, and her hair was a mess. Under her hat, and that hat was worn over the years, while her face was covered in small scars and all over. You ain't looking so hot either, Sugar Cube. Applejack said with a chuckle, grabbing the drinks, and beckoning us still awestruck. Twilight over to the table in the corner. Ponies at that table was scattered before the two got over there. Sit down, Applejack said. And Twilight just did that. I gotta say, this weren't on top of my things to be doing this week. Meeting ghosts from my past, that is. Applejack took a large swig of her drink before letting out a loud belch. Twilight just still sat there in shock. Applejack, what happened to you? You've changed so much. Twilight paused as she gave a tearful glance to her old friend. Applejack took another large swig from her drink. By now, I'm more interested in what happened to you. I seem to recall something about a couple months. Applejack sighed heavily. Twilight looked upset. Oh, Applejack, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I thought it would be. I truly did. But then everything went out of control so fast. The princess, really, she. Excuse me. Applejack cut her off mid-sentence. I know what happened to the princess. Why? You think those country folk are that backwards? You think we can't read the news? Or we hid under a rock so we won't hear nothing out there? Twilight was taken aback by Applejack's retort. No, that's not what I meant at all. I wanted to write to you all to explain, but I'm so sorry. Twilight broke down into a quiet sob of small tears. Applejack paused for a few seconds before what she had said. Ah, shoot. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have snapped at you like that. I don't think before I say stuff. It's just, well, I got a lot of problems bottled up in me. In other areas, I mean. I'm glad you're okay. it's just dealing with this suddenly on my other stuff. I'm not sure what else to make of it all, she said, slowly went to rest her head on the table with a soft thud. Twilight put her hook on Applejack's shoulder. I'm sorry, Applejack. I wanted to see you again. I didn't know what to do when I learned you weren't in Ponyville any longer. So I said scouts. And well, Applejack lifted her head and smiled wearily at Twilight. Forget it. You're here now, I guess. And I meant it. I'm glad you're okay. Twilight and Applejack looked at each other for a minute or so. So, what happened to you? If you want to talk about it, that is, Twilight asked. Sugar Cube, I could feel a library on what happened. Where to begin? Well, that day when you left, I went back to Sweet Apple Acres. I decided that gosh darn it, if you were gonna be working so hard to save Equestria, I'd darn work hard too. How about from that day, and I was gonna work twice as hard, and get the farm running to a tip-top shape. Excuse me. So I started to train myself with Big Mac to get stronger. As you can see, I built myself to a rather grand size. Them orchards never stood a damn chance. Things were going well for a while, but then we got the news. Princess, well, right about no pony was really in the mood to hear anything for weeks. We were all still mourning for you both. Of course, at the time, we had no idea that you were still alive. Anyways, we finally got back to work, and I took over as princess, and things started to get downhill. Long story short, the whole funding priorities from Canterlot started to dry up. Granny Smith went and passed away, and on top of that, the funeral cost of running the farm, and me and Big Mac started to get a little in debt. Well, you know me, starting as a mule, without some pony like you to show me common sense. I refused offers from those who try to help. Right about 3 years in others separate ways, but I decided to stay and save the farm. Problem was, though, we were getting further and further in debt. Canterlot didn't want to fund the lost cause, and I was so dang determined. To save our family's farm. But I was getting angry and upset. And then it happened. Big Mac went behind my back and borrowed money from some of the shady dealer to get back on the track. I know he did it for me and because I was so desperate. That idiot. But you can't guess how that ended up. When them shady ponies came for their money, we couldn't pay them, and I told them straight. My honesty playing against me in the instance. I couldn't have known who they were. They burned down Sweet Apple Acres, and Mac and I tried to protect her. Mac tried a little too hard. They took my brother's life that night and left me for dead. By the time the guards got there, it was too late. Let's just say I took my anger and pain out of the nearest targets. Banished from Ponyville, I kinda wandered for a spell. And I done some things. But I've done some things that I ain't proud of to survive. I got the name for a civil around. Put my bucking skills to use for the right price. and that attracts attention. Well, here we the hell are. I'm walking back from my latest beatdown, and some pony scout stops me and hands me a letter, and here we are. Wait for me to take this off. Sorry, I need to stretch there. Sorry for the yawning, guys. And well, here we... Oh, alright, this part. Oh, Applejack. It's so horrible. Poor Big Mac. Charlie began to tear up and was cut off by Applejack. Yeah, poor Big Mac. Sorry, but I cried all man tears a long time ago. Thankfully, Apple Bloom had been moved to Brayburn's town for schooling, so she missed all of it. Twilight couldn't believe what she was hearing, and they both talked a while longer, and Applejack had calmed her down. So angry, Jack? She asked. She asked what the bartender had called her when they first came in. Ha! Yeah, cute nickname they gave me. So I managed a light chuckle, but immediately felt guilty. So do you ever see the others? Do you ever see the others? Applejack's face turned a little sour. Well, I think that question is about to be answered, Applejack said as she looked at a figure standing behind Twilight. Twilight was almost afraid to turn. But she did it slowly. What she saw wasn't exactly what she expected. Standing in the middle of the room was a pony with a rainbow colored mane, but she looked like an earth pony. She wasn't Pegasus. For a moment, I thought that was. Twilight stared to say as she turned back to Applejack. Twilight spoke at Applejack, asked gravely, a voice from behind her. The body stuttered. Oh wait, Twilight, Applejack? Asked a gravely voice behind her. Gravelly voice. Chapter 3. Rainbow crashed. Is it you? Pony shouted. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. When I got that letter, I thought this was a sick prank. But the pony came and wrapped her hooves around Twilight. Wait, the pony came up and wrapped her hooves around Twilight. Twilight looked at the face, and there was no mistaking it up close. It was her. It was Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash, it's really you. I don't believe it.